Hi, this is Laurie's Kitchen. Usually I wear my apron that says Laurie's Kitchen so I know who I am, but this week I am giving a shout out not only to the Houston Food Bank, which I think is vitally important right now. We've been in the national news as really needing financial support. Some of the Astros players and maybe other athletic team players in our area have contributed not only money but their time. Alex Bregman in particular has donated $100,000 and he's also worked in the Houston Food Bank. I think it's very important to give back to your community, and in this case, Houston Food Bank is one that we really need to help at this time. I'm also giving a shout out to my daughter-in-law Beth, who was a rookie in the art category of the Houston Rodeo. The rodeo sponsors and does heavy coverage for the arts, as well as all sorts of rodeo types of things with cows and pigs and stuff like that. But this is really neat. So she was a rookie this year. She and her sister painted aprons, and I said right off the bat I wanted hers, so they auctioned them off, and I can't say I was really lucky enough to get hers. I just got hers. I didn't have to, outbid people and slap them in the face with a paddle or anything. I just said, this is the one I want, and this is the one I got. So I wanted to give a shout out to Beth. I think it's adorable. Notice it's a cow, and cows are very happy that I'm making tortilla soup with chicken today. The cow agrees. Perfect choice. More chicken, less cow. All right, so today I am going to cook tortilla soup. My version of cooking is chop it up, throw it in a pot, and hope it looks good. And I'm going to show you how to do that today. The backstory on tortilla soup goes way back, many years, back to a trip we took to Arizona. So I'm going to start the cooking process so it won't take all day just to saute things. This is 2 big celery stalks all chopped up, and they're a rough chop. That's what you call it when you just chop and put it in a bowl. And now I'm going to put it in here, and this is a saute. And there's a little bit of butter in the bottom. You can use oil as well for the healthy crowd, but if you've been with me a while, you know I'm not cooking healthy. I am sequestered in my spot, or whatever you call what I'm doing. All right, this is 1 whole small onion. It's also rough chopped. And I'm going to get all that in there. And then I cook it pretty high because, again, it's going in a soup. I'm going to give you a little tip, and this is a really good tip. I'm very happy with this. I cook for my grandchildren, and I don't know if any of you have grandchildren, but if you do, you know vegetables and grandchildren are not in the same sentence. So I cook this up, but when I do for them, and I make this soup, I add zucchini and squash and carrots and anything else I can find, because in a few minutes I'm going to give you a tip that's going to be revolutionary. You aren't going to believe it. Well, right now this is sauteing up. It can be a pretty high heat. You can add a little bit more oil or a little bit more butter if you want to, but notice it's starting to sweat. You can see this. The onions always sweat out, so it's easy. Whoop, get back in there. It's easy to saute these vegetables together. In a few minutes, I'm going to add green chilies. I already took off all the tops. It just makes it a little quicker. I've had to think through how to make this a little faster. So these are diced green chilies, diced. You don't have to drain any liquid or anything like that. And they are going to go in there in a few minutes as well. All right, on the back burner, all right, on a pretty high heat, you are going to put in vegetable broth, vegetable juice. I don't measure. I dump some Worcestershire. I dump some A1 to get kind of like a little beefy flavor almost, but it makes it really rich. I have a friend named Whitney. She is my loyal, true blue vegetarian friend. When she had a baby in December, I hopped on the meal train and said, I'll fix you a meal. I'm going to fix tortilla soup. But Bob, her husband, is not a vegetarian. And I thought, well, how can I make something? How can I do this tortilla soup in a way that I can give it to her, vegetarian style, and make it for him, but make it rich. I tried it, I loved it, I've never gone back. Because what I do is I use vegetable broth. I could make my own vegetable broth. Chances are really high I would not do that. I'll bet Whitney does, but I don't. All right, this all goes in there. I actually bought 2 big containers of vegetable broth. On the side, vegetable broth. Notice it's HEB. I always go with the house brand whenever possible. I'm going to turn that down so it doesn't explode. And I'm adding vegetable juice. All right, just like tomato juice, but it's vegetable juice. It has all kinds of vegetables in it. And notice you don't see them because it's all blended up. All right, so put it all in there. And that is your soup base. So what's really, really cool about making a soup is you can't go wrong. I'm sauteing away. Here's this. I've cut this on pretty high back there. See how nice this is? You almost want this to be translucent. But notice you can do more than one thing at a time when you're doing this soup. Alright, now this is the part that's going to upset some people. I do not measure this. I just dump. A1, if you don't have it, that's grand. You don't need it. I like the taste. Worcestershire is the same way. It gives this, it's a Kroger brand. Now I'm multitasking, HEB and Kroger. Alright, A1 sauce doesn't come like that. The stores don't make it, but they do make Worcestershire. And all right, this is a real rookie mistake here. Yeah, I didn't check to make sure that this lid is on. Okay, so dump. You can put whatever amount you want. If you want a little or you want a lot, it doesn't really matter because it's soup. That is why I pick soup. You can play with it. You can add ingredients to it. And in a few minutes, I'm going to do a little unbelievable thing and show you how this works. This is cooking so nicely. Alright, so we're going to let this go for just a few more minutes. It does not take a lot of time to do this. In a few minutes I'm going to add the green chilies. But walk with me this way a minute. One of the ingredients that will eventually go into the tortilla soup is black beans. Now last week when I made queso, I did something that people couldn't believe. I washed my hamburger. I drained it and I washed it. And I don't know what other people do with black beans. I'm going to show you what I do. Then the beans, they have kind of almost like a gravy with them. And maybe I'm committing some kind of kitchen sin. But I wash mine. And I take that gravy off. I just think it looks better and tastes better because it's going into a tomato base. And I want all those beans to be real beany. I don't want them to be kind of gravy-ish. And I sure don't want them to look like they're refried. Alright, so I'm going to come back over here, give this another quick stir. And I always thought it was kind of silly to call it smell-o-vision. But if you could smell, I love the smell of onions. Now, I'm going to just dump. I haven't drained these at all. I'm going to put this in here, listen to the sound. That's fine. And you can crank this down. And this gives a little bit more of a juice to it so it doesn't dry. Now this is simmering on the back, but it doesn't have to boil or anything. It just has to sit back there and start to heat up. It's not a necessity to do that. Alright, so now this is kind of just doing its own thing. I'm going to crank it down because I don't want it to burn. And move those out of the way. I want to talk about chicken for a minute. Eventually, you're going to add whole diced tomatoes. You could put whole in and squeeze them and squish them and all that if you wanted, but diced tomatoes. This is the HEB brand. It can be anybody's. This is just whole kernel corn. You just can't go wrong with the house brand of those. But I want to talk about this. Forever, I bought a whole chicken I put it in a pot like this with some water and maybe a bouillon cube, celery, a carrot, and a whole onion, uncut with skin and everything. Dump it all in there. Boil up the chicken, take the chicken out, take the veggies out, throw them away. They're done. You've used them, they're finished. And it's a really good, rich chicken broth. But that doesn't solve that vegetarian problem. A vegetarian isn't eating chicken broth either. And I thought, what can I do? What can I do? So I don't do that now. I don't have to boil that chicken. And it's fine to boil it. You can do it that way. But I grilled my chicken yesterday. If you watched my show a couple of weeks ago, I butterflied a chicken and then eventually put it on the grill. Well, I did it with this one too. I got a whole chicken from Pete's Meats. His chickens are, bar none, the best chicken in Houston. White skin, no extra inside stuff that you're going to throw out. Perfect. It's just a perfect chicken, perfect size chicken as well. Some are really big, some are really tiny, not Pete's. They're all the same. They have a little bit of fat on the inside, but not a lot. Notice I'm going to come back and stir just one more little time. You're going to see what I'm going to do with this in a minute. So eventually, I'm going to put the chicken, the tomatoes, the corn, and the beans in. But if you're going vegetarian style, leave this out. Don't put it in until the very end, because you can boil it up and keep it simmering for about 45 minutes and take out the vegetarian portion for your friend. And Whitney is very happy when I do that. So she gets what she wants with vegetable broth. You will not believe the taste difference in using vegetable broth versus a beef or a chicken broth. And then Bob gets what he wants. He's got chicken in his. So it all just works out really well. And I'm real proud of myself for hurdling that vegetarian situation that is a stumbling block a lot of times. When I'm making a meal for 8 or 10 people and I have one vegetarian, how am I going to make them feel comfortable too? It's very important when people come to my house to eat. I want them to feel like I made that meal for them too. And if you have one vegetarian, they're going to feel left out if you get a salad. If they get a salad and everybody else gets a big meal. All right, so now this is simmered itself down. If I say so myself, it looks pretty good. And I'm going to put it all in here. And then the big trick comes. First, I'm going to move this to the front burner, which may be a trick in itself. I tell everybody I have asbestos hands because I kind of do. And this is not steaming hot. I see a little steam coming off of it, but it's not really hot yet. And that's fine. I'm going to show you something. This is almost mind-blowing, but I've done it so many times now, it's really not. This is called a stick blender. All right, I'm going to tell a secret on myself. The very first time I ever did this tortilla soup, I had first eaten it in Arizona at a place called the Agave. I think it's in Tucson or Green Valley, somewhere down in that part of Arizona. And they served it to us in slanted bowls. I mean, that's all you have to do to please me. Get a slanted bowl. It's the cutest thing ever. And it slants down and you're eating, you feel like you're just in heaven with your tortilla soup. It was the best soup I had ever had. We go to pay to leave when we are leaving, and you will not believe it, but at the front counter, they had the recipe for tortilla soup. I took that recipe, and I'm reading it in the car as we're leaving. It probably had, I don't know, 75 ingredients in the row. You can forget this, I'm not doing it. But I kept reading and reading, and at the bottom, it said, put all of this liquid in a blender. Be very careful, they said. They didn't tell you all the details, but anyway, put it in a blender. Well, that takes forever. I put it in a blender the first time. I did not pull the little top out of the top of the blender, you know, the little, like the see-through part to make a hole. Oh no, I didn't do that. And it ended up on the ceiling because hot in a blender just kaplooey. It was everywhere. Oh, I guess I made a mistake. So clean up the mess. I still had plenty of soup. Figured out you have to pull the top. I didn't ever do it again. You only do that mistake once. But then this little invention came into my life. I'm going to show you something. All right, even though it's warm, sorry, it makes a lot of noise because it's now, get this, cutting up all those vegetables. So that little grandkid that I talked about earlier, who doesn't eat vegetables, he doesn't even know that he's eating vegetables. So in the process of doing this, you have thickened your soup, which everybody knows soup tomorrow is better than soup today. So make it today, put it away, tomorrow bring it out, and it is this luxurious soup that tastes like you put cream in it, but you have not put cream in it. It is just these ingredients mixed up. So let me take a minute to mix, because this is, I mean, this is going to change your life. You just don't know it yet. Alright, so I look and I see, oh, I still got a little bit in there. Celery is kind of harder to cut, as it's hard. Here we go. So you can see there's not a bunch left in there. And just look at that. That started out to be just liquid. And now there's little pieces, you can see little pieces. Alright, this is called a stick blender. Mine is by Cuisinart, and it's called a Smart Stick. And other people make it too. They also make ginormous ones that are way higher than this for great big pots. But that's perfect for me. Alright, so I'm going to stir, and you can't see it like I can, but it's much thicker and it's sticking to my spatula. See, it's got a texture that you just won't believe. All right, if you're cooking for your vegetarian friend, you are going to put in, this is the chopped tomatoes, H-E-B. It doesn't matter who you use, it really doesn't. Tomatoes are tomatoes. You could put fresh tomatoes in too, you know, I'm a big fan of that. Corn, I love corn. All right, there's 1 can of corn. Sometimes I drain it, sometimes I don't. I have plenty of liquid today, so I don't need to augment it at all. All right, these go away. And now, we're gonna put in the black beans. Again, we're still vegetarian style. Whitney would be so impressed with me. I also have a friend out in California. Her name is Lauren. She reached out when I started doing these cooking shows. She's always enjoyed talking about cooking with me. She has 4 little bitty children. Her husband is a wonderful photographer, and he posts pictures on Facebook of the 4 children. Well, she reached out, and I told her this week I was making tortilla soup. You got 4 kids, that makes 6 of you. You probably need a big pot of something going on the stove all the time. So here it is, and what's going to happen in real life is it's going to simmer for 45 minutes. So you can go ahead and do your simmering for 45 minutes with this. You can make it doesn't have to be boiling. It can be kind of a nice, and you're going to stir. You don't have to have the lid on. But see how thick this is? Now maybe you're not a fan. So if you're not a fan of thick and you want to see every vegetable in there, don't use a stick blender. I just like to hide it all. Maybe it's just for me. Maybe I'm the one who doesn't really like all the vegetables. All right, so there's that. If you're going to go ahead and make tortilla soup my way, then you're going to add the chicken. This was roasted. I roasted it yesterday. And I do that because it's just too much to do all of it in one day when you're trying, such a busy life hanging around the house every day. But anyway, I had other stuff to do yesterday too, and today. So here's the chicken. I just picked it off the bones. And of course, it takes a little bit of time to do that. You can get a rotisserie chicken from one of your local grocery stores. You can boil that chicken. You can use all chicken breasts. You can use cans of chicken. God help us if you do, but you could. All right, that's just not for me. Now I'm going to just put all of this in, and notice the pot that I thought at the beginning was, oh, maybe it's a little too big. It's not too big. All right, I'm gonna wash my hands for the millionth time, keeping in mind that washing your hands might help you avoid the virus. And then I'm going to stir all of this in. I've got to tell you, it smells good already. It's going to be good. This is my go-to when I just want comfort food. And I've told y'all before, if you've watched my little videos, if I'm going to fry a chicken, it's because I want comfort food. And if I'm going to make tortilla soup, part of it is to share. There are 2 or 3 people that I always like to give my soup to, because honestly, I mean, who could eat all of this by myself? I certainly could not. But I put it in containers and give it to my neighbor and give it to my friends. In this rather trying time in our world, I'll call and say, hey, there's a big container of soup for you right outside my door. Then my friend Jenny could just come by, pick it up, go on her way, and eat it for dinner that night. It's hard to be cooking, and yet what are we doing all the time? Everybody's cooking, and I like to cook, but what if you really don't? What if you eat dinner out 3 or 4 times a week, and now all of a sudden you're kind of trapped? This is a really good go-to. All right, so I'm not going to make it like I'm going to eat it, because I really do want it to cook the 45 minutes. But I'm going to show you a few things that you can put in your soup. I love grated cheese. I love, the reason it's called tortilla soup is this right here. All you have to do is get tortilla chips or tortilla strips. And look at these, adorable, right? They're all different colors, and you just lay them on the top of your soup. Another thing I love is the avocado. I love the avocado, I mean with no soup. But I cut up little chunks of avocado. You can even kind of make it into guacamole and put a dollop on top. But if you want to put a dollop of something on top, just because you just have to and you love the word dollop, how about a little sour cream? Or a little yogurt that doesn't have sweetener in it, because I don't think it tastes too great with that. But just put a little of that in the top and whip it around. I can't have sour cream, it makes me sick, but an avocado, the tortilla strips, and some cheese. You could chop up onion and put that in there. There's no end to the stuff you could put in it if you wanted to. Or you can eat it just like that. I think most people eat it just like that because they don't have these things around. But there you go. I want to give another little shout out to my producer, Tracy. She does not live here. She lives in Chicago, but she's portaling right over there, giving a little instruction. And I want to give a shout out to my friend Malcolm, who's holding the camera, very steady, I might add, and he makes me look good. All right, so there you go. I think I've said all the different things I was supposed to say. It made me kind of nervous because there's so many little working parts of this, and I wanted to make sure it was right for you. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy.